Yeah.
The Big Show with Glenn and Angel on Kiss 92.
Good morning.
Sometimes getting out of bed in the morning is a lot to deal with all at once.
Good morning, Singapore, and welcome to the biggest and best breakfast show in the world. It is Glenn, Tim, and today we have Adrian Choo from Korea Agility International.
Yeah! Good morning, everyone. So glad to be back.
All right. Remember, you can ask Adrian. I don't know what we're going to be talking about today because I didn't get the memo. But actually, I did get the memo, but I didn't check the memo out.
That's the one right there.
I
You should
love
have seen
surprises.
the look right that Shalini gave
Yes.
him. She's like, I didn't get
sent
the
it to you.
memo.
I sent it to you yesterday afternoon. Okay, so anyway, if you want to ask Adrian questions on the show, you can do it via Facebook. Don't do it via YouTube because I'm not what do you call monitoring
savvy.
YouTube today.
Oh, no. Okay.
No, I've got my screen open like it's something else on my screen. Okay, Adrian, what are we talking about today?
Today, we're going to talk about the secret of your success, which is yourself, Glenn, and Tim.
Oh,
Our
yeah,
success.
we're gonna-
I'm still
yes.
trying to find it.
And that's a good idea. That's a good way to start the conversation.
Yes.
Because it's like, what is success? But I'm very intrigued by your careers on radio. And Tim, you just told me that you were interning with Glenn.
Well, he wasn't an intern at that time. He full-time already.
But you were interning with him at the time, or?
I was interning in that company. I was 18 years old.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it's been that long.
Yes, he showed me the ropes, showed me all the vices that this industry would introduce to me.
Oh my goodness, this was the 90s, man.
Yes. Yeah.
The 90s?
Yeah, the mid 90s.
Those were fun times.
Those were golden years.
Yeah.
I just want to say good morning to a friend of mine who's tuned in, Pete. Wonder whether you're still tuned in the car with your son. Good morning, Pete.
Good morning.
Okay, go on. Sorry.
So my question is this. First question is what? So I'm going to ask Tim first, since
Right.
you're new to this
To the big
segment.
show? Oh, yeah, okay.
What got you started on radio? What was the moment when you thought, actually radio would be interesting?
People like Glenn Ong lah. They go on the radio late at night, talk a lot of cock, and then I'm like, wow, you get paid to do this kind of you do this kind of job. Anybody can do it. But back in the day, of course, and once again, this always freaks out the young ones who cannot comprehend a time there was no internet. No Netflix. But, growing up in the years that we did, really, after a certain point, radio was really all you had. Even television didn't broadcast throughout the entire night as well.
True.
And so, when you were up late at night, radio was your only company. And so I think that's why a lot of us are very sentimental about radio and developed a love affair with it, from a very young age.
Yeah, and those were the days when radio, actually, most stations actually stopped at 12, remember?
Yes.
There was a Majula Singapura at 12, and then that's it. And then 6 a.m.
Radio
again.
station? Huh?
Yeah, and those were the days before the big ones came up.
Was it 12 or was it 2?
12 or 2?
Two
Yeah,
a.m.
I remember.
Two,
It was
yeah.
2 a.m. You know why? Because I used to sign off.
You
At
were
2 a.m.
okay.
All right. Another friend, Desmond Soon, is tuned in, says good morning to us, and he says the 90s were awesome.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that is awesome. I
Back
think
when radio was a cowboy town.
it was, and I think the one that sparked it off was this the Batam radio station, Zoo 101.6.
Oh.
And that started out
Yeah.
long ago, right? Yeah, that's how it all started. So I started getting interested in radio as well when that came out in mid 90s. Yeah, so it was.
You should have tried out to be a radio presenter.
In multiverse, maybe, yeah. I would have done it. But no.
Would have made less money. So I think you went the correct path.
How about you, Glenn? What was that singular moment when you decided this could be an interesting spark of a career idea?
When I was rejected by Singapore Airlines.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
What, to be a pilot or to be
I wanted to be a flight steward.
Are you serious?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
My mom was okay, but my dad was against it
Wow.
because he was a pilot.
Wow.
It's like, why don't you just be a pilot instead?
Yeah, that's what I would have thought. You wanted to be a flight steward.
I wanted to be a flight steward because I wanted to hang out with all the stewardesses.
Wow. SQ, you dodged a bullet. Bro.
Okay, let's continue this conversation on the Big Show TV. Benson Boone is next. This one's for you, Angel. Sorry I'm here for someone else on Kiss 92.
I'm sorry I'm here.
It's true. I wanted to be a flight steward. I wanted to be a flight steward so badly.
Just to hang out with the ladies. I think you should have been a pilot. Then you would probably, gotten much more attention. Because I was here.
That's what my dad told me.
Yeah, it's the pilots that
But
get all
there's
the
just
attention.
something about. I don't know why I wanted to be a flight steward.
Why, man?
But on hindsight, right, I think I would have suffered
Yeah.
because I've never served anyone in my life. You know what I mean? It's like a lot of work. I think they
It's
have
a
to
lot
do.
of work. It's a lot of
Just
work.
like I observe them these days. Both the cabin crew, right? The flight attendants.
I can
they
only-
they work so hard, man.
I can only imagine the complaints, lah.
What
Like, you
complaints?
serving people, you're like, excuse me, can I get coffee? Get it yourself.
No, I will never be like that. No. I'm very professional.
Well, you did end up becoming a pilot of the airwaves.
There you go. Pilot of the airwaves. Here is my request.
Okay, I don't think Adrian
It's an
came in to
actual
sing,
song. It's an
yes,
actual
yes,
song.
yes.
Yes, go.
You don't have
oldie
to
but
play
goodie.
it, but I know you'll do your best. I've been listening to your show on the radio, and you seem like a friend to me.
I think today's show is going to overrun. This segment is going to overrun.
But
Okay.
why did SQ reject? Did they tell you why you didn't clear the interviews
I don't
or
know.
no idea? So
No.
in some
Not
multiverse,
tall enough, maybe.
You're
So
so tall.
goodness.
No, you should
No
make
lah.
up an excuse, bro. They told me I was too handsome.
I have no idea, but I know I was like,
I would distract
I was
all the
so
other stewardesses,
disappointed.
so-
I was so disappointed. When I
Okay,
got
so
the letter.
how quickly after you got rejected
Yeah.
did you find your way into radio?
I think my uncle told me that the controller of radio at that time was looking for radio presenters, and so he asked me to just kind of read an article, backsell a song, just
Yeah.
put it on a cassette tape, and I did that, and I sent it to him, and then he passed it to her, and then next thing I know, I got I had an interview with.
Oh, wow.
At that time, it was the Singapore Broadcasting Corporation.
SBC.
And and how many years since then?
No, I had to go for a. This was even before I enlisted.
Yeah. So I want to
Yeah.
know, what year was that? I want to know how many years it's been.
That was 1988.
How
Oh,
old were
wow.
you, Cheyenne, in 1988?
Zero. Yes, she was not born. 1988.
That was way too long. But so was there so when you first went on the mic on air, how did it feel? Did it feel right? Did it feel strange? Did it feel happy?
Funny enough, it felt very natural.
Yeah?
It felt, yeah. There was no nerves, funny enough.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
It's interesting that way. There are a lot of cases, and we've seen over the years, especially when we are auditioning new talent and all that, right? There are people who you think would be very comfortable with the microphone because they're just so, they're so effusive, so exuberant, so much energy. But you put a mic in front of them, suddenly they clam up and they're not comfortable. And then you've got people who are the most timid, the most quiet, and then you put them behind the mic and they're just so natural when it comes to conversing.
I think that's where you find your natural gift or talent for something, and then you're just in your what I call in your center. I think that's when you know you're in the right role. How about yourself? I mean, you were trained in school for media, right? But
Yeah.
what is it like when you first went live on air, national radio?
I think I was nervous. I think, which understandably, you can practice, till the cows come home into your cassette tape recorder. But knowing that whatever you say is going out live, sometimes the nerves can get you. You know what I mean? But, this was also a time where it was very sink or swim. You know what I mean? I got very little training on air before I was told. They were like, okay, today you come, you see how the buttons are played, tomorrow you're on at 1 p.m. Yeah. So you're definitely going to fumble a little bit, but trial by fire.
Because why most people go in, right? Just imagining the thousands and thousands, the hundreds of thousands of people who are listening in, and that is what's going to kill you.
That's intimidating.
So,
right?
when I first started, okay, we've got a 1 minute note, so no problem. When I first started, right, I was taught to just think of yourself talking to one person. Okay, so I had to put like a stuffed toy in front of me and just practice. Just like, okay, I'm talking to that.
Okay.
And it worked. So now when I present. Like, for example, I see so many of you in the studio here. That's more than the people who are listening to me outside. That's the kind of mentality that I have, right? And so you don't feel afraid because I feel afraid because there are 4 of you in front of me right now. Not really afraid, but you know what I mean. So I think a lot of people feel intimidated because they think immediately 400,000 people are listening to me right now. And so they feel that pressure, the responsibility, to just say only the right things.
Everybody's looking at you. You've never had that problem, that pressure to say the right things.
I'm just talking to one person. If I say the wrong thing, it's okay. Okay, traffic update.
Kiss 92 traffic.
On the PIE towards Changi Airport, heavy traffic at the TPE exit. Sembawang Road towards Yishun Avenue 1, an accident has occurred in the right lane. CTE towards SLE, obstacle after Jalan Bahagia. BKE towards PIE, heavy traffic between the SLE exit and Mandai. And a couple of vehicle breakdowns as well. TPE towards PIE, one before Loyang Avenue. And on the PIE towards Tuas, another one after Clementi Avenue 6.
Welcome back to The Big Show and The Big Show TV. Our guest for today is Adrian Choo from Career Agility International. He is the CEO and founder. If you want to get in touch with him, you can do so. Send him an email, info@careeragility.org.
Yeah, and today we are talking about careers and how successful careers happen. And today I'm speaking with the two fantastic DJs here.
Okay. So first we need to understand, what do you mean by success? Success in terms of making a lot of money, making an impact on the industry,
exactly,
finding personal fulfillment. What are the factors?
And that's why I wanted to find out from you guys now. How do you measure success? How do you know you've become successful? And at which point in your career do you realize that actually?
I've not even thought about that, quite frankly. If you ask me, who's really successful, I would say the Flying Dutchman.
Why?
Because I think he's made a lot of money, and
gotten a lot of awards.
He's 69 years old, and he's still doing what he's doing. So it's like you talk about longevity.
Yeah.
Nobody's gonna come close to FD. Really? I mean, seriously, I can't picture myself doing radio at 69. Can you?
God willing.
What you would want to do radio till you're 69?
Yeah. I mean, even if it's not full time, but if I still had the ability to contribute.
Is it because you guys don't play golf? That's why. I mean, at some point you just want to just drop everything and just travel the world and play all the courses around the world.
Maybe, and who knows? I might have more time on my hands at that point. Charlie would have grown up a little bit. Maybe he'd be out of the house. Yeah, then I got time. Rather than stay at home and drive my wife crazy, then I come to work and do radio.
Or start your own podcast.
I already have a podcast.
Start your own. It's like after a life on radio, you want to go into something similar like that. Once again, podcasting.
Yeah, that's fun. But to your question, Tim, what is success? From our experience, success means different things to different people at different stages in their life. So when you're early in your career, maybe just mastering the art might be success, or making more money might be success, or fame. If you guys, I know there's some people in the industry who are just after the fame, the recognition and everything. But I know at different stages right now, it's like for FD, I know for him, he likes training the next generation. He likes doing all the fun stuff. He's enjoying himself now, so that's success for him.
Okay.
So my question is, what's success for you, Glenn? Right now, at this point in time in your career?
I would think this point in my career, maybe get married again. One more time. One last time.
On air?
No.
What does that have to do with your career?
You're saying what defines you, right? So it's like, not just radio. I feel like success is a combination.
Yeah.
Of things.
Okay.
I'm already enjoying radio already. I don't know. Can I take it to the next level? Maybe I can or whatever. But it's a few things that makes me who I am.
Yeah.
So what this shows is that you've already filled up all those baskets for career.
Yeah. And I feel like the only basket that is lacking right now is my next consideration, whether I want to get married again. Another wife. Because I go on air and I talk about when you go on radio, right? you talk about your life.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right?
I think that's something that we've been very, privileged to be able to do.
Yeah.
That a lot of our content can be derived from our own personal lives.
And because I've been doing this for so many years, I'm pretty much an open book.
yes.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Right? So
So for all our listeners out there, when do the auditions start?
7th of June.
all right, let's continue to talk to Adrian on the Big Show TV. It's 8:21.
Kiss 92 Time Check by Poo Tian.
Okay.
So Tim, how about you? What's success for you now?
What is success for me now in general?
In
Not
general,
just
okay. Say on radio.
Okay.
Professionally.
Professionally?
Professionally.
Finding a job that. I think appreciation, counts a lot. To be able to do something that you feel true to yourself, correctly represents you, gives you fulfillment and being appreciated for that.
Nice.
So rather than, in order to get that appreciation, to get those benefits, I have to, be something other than what I really want to do. You know what I mean? But to find something that, wow, you're totally in sync. I get to be myself. And be appreciated for just being myself. I think that's the perfect combination.
Yeah. I understand where you're coming from. That's one of the reasons why I'm not on TikTok. I'm not a content creator on TikTok because I find a lot of fakiness. Just to create content, you're doing silly things, you're dancing or whatever it is. So I agree with you. You want to be able.
We were just talking about
doing some dancing tomorrow. Alamak.
I mean,
you're gonna judge us, bro.
Okay. But if it's fun and genuine, it's fine. But I see a lot of people, they're just straining their brains trying to figure out
chasing
how
numbers.
can I get a next like?
Yeah.
And I think that's terrible. On LinkedIn, it's even worse. You see a lot of rubbishy posts just to chase after the likes. So I think that's why for me personally, right now, my measure of success is how many people I can touch, and that's why I love being on radio with you guys because there are a lot of listeners out there, and it's more listeners than I actually realize. Because
you are touching many listeners. I've told you this before, right? I mean, they all look forward to you coming on air because somehow they feel connected to you.
And then I love the listeners because they come up to me and they talk to me and they tell me like, hey, I listen to you as much as I can because it's fun, it's entertaining, but also we learn a lot of stuff, and some of the advice that Yen and I give do change lives.
Right.
So for me, that's my measure of success. It's not about money anymore. It's not about it's just the fun of doing it, and also I love hanging out with you guys.
Oh, we love hanging out with you too.
Yeah,
It's
we
so
love hanging out
fun.
with you. Yeah, I just want to qualify something. For me, everything is a balance. I feel like I need balance. I don't know about you guys, which is why I brought up what I brought up
And
just now, because both like my work as well as my personal life, if everything is in sync, I feel successful.
On that note, though, I mean, when you talk about balance, made out of different things, right? Elements, right? But the proportion that makes that balance is going to change over the years depending on where you are in your life as well.
Different seasons.
Because maybe at some point, you've got 4 elements, or 25%, 25%, 25%, 25%. But as you get older, depending on where you are, your priorities may be, okay, one is not 25% anymore. Maybe I need 30% of that. And then another one, maybe slightly less. You still get 100%, and overall it gives you that balance that you need. But they're not, absolute equals.
Yeah, but it's work. We should always work towards 50-50. Then it's a balance. You know what I mean?
I think I'm leaning towards what Tim said because ideal 50-50, but I think there are times where there are seasons where it's like 70-30, 30-70, like if you're working on a huge project, make or break project, then you might put all your personal stuff on hold for a while, and then focus on it, and then when you're done with it, or you've achieved a certain amount of success on your career side, then take a break, focus on the family, the softer things. So for me, my focus has always been on family.
Yeah.
So that's a huge focus. That's one of the reasons why I never did regional jobs. I didn't want to travel. So it's always been in Singapore. I gave up on a lot of other opportunities. But my focus has always been on family. But now that my kids are big, now I can do a little bit more adventurous stuff here and there. And the season is different. Seasons change.
Yep.
So I'm in a different season right now. And for our listeners out there, it's all about what season are you in. Your career strategy has to fit the season you're in and the season you're going into.
Okay.
So that's how you make it all work.
Okay.
Okay. So now, singlehood, right, Glenn?
Yeah.
So the proportions in your balance are also going to shift too, all right?
Yeah, but
you got to make space. I mean, at some point, if and when you start dating again, you are going to have to carve out some time and some bandwidth to cater to that too, right?
Yeah, lah. Don't think too far ahead. I guess.
As I say, if and when that happens.
Yeah. I mean, it's nice. It's I feel so free now. I should appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And one day, if God willing, if you're willing, maybe baby Glennon comes into the picture. Then you got to carve out more time and more bandwidth out of your life for that as well.
Kids, huh? No. How about no?
Yeah, you know what? You know who else said no? I said no. And then look what happened.
No. At this stage of my life, no way. No way.
Okay, we start taking bets, huh?
Go with who is going to be my next partner.
Okay.
That
We start
you
with
can
that
take bets.
first. Okay.
Yes.
One step at a time.
Okay. Let's move on.
How much time have we got?
We have 2 minutes.
Okay. So, in your career as a radio host, who you've interviewed a lot of interesting people.
Yes.
Who is the most famous person you've interviewed? I've always wanted to ask. The mostest famousest. The really.
I guess David Beckham. Because I've worked with him at least 3 times.
Oh wow.
But then, if you ask me, my most memorable would be the Spice Girls.
All of them?
All of them.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Back when, I was at Perfect
All
Ten.
together,
All together,
as
man.
All right. Okay.
Wow.
Jerry was sitting on my lap.
Oh.
She was. They were all so playful, right? when they were younger, and that's why they were so huge in terms of their PR.
Oh.
They were traveling the world, going to all the radio stations at the time. Everyone loved them. They were adorable.
Yep.
And they were themselves as well. I remember Posh was sitting right in front of me, and she had a little zit on her face, and that was putting her in a bad mood. She was like sitting down there with a compact and just touching up that zit. And, yeah, and of course Mel B was just
scary.
She was so energetic. She was
Today's
not
her
scary.
birthday, by the way.
She was not scary. Let me just tell you. What's the time now? No, it's 8:30. Any kids tuned in? Man, she was just in this really. At that time, I think it was athleisure.
Okay.
It's just that she wasn't wearing, those tights, but her top was just,
very fetching.
Oh my goodness, she wasn't wearing a bra.
Okay. I'm trying to use
She almost poked my eye.
language, right?
Yeah, you were trying. You were trying.
Wait, are we on air or not? Okay, yeah, there we are off air.
Okay.
So it's okay.
Phew.
Okay, stand by.
Kiss 92 traffic.
All right, looks like it's still busy, as you'd expect it to be around this time. PIE towards Changi Airport, heavy traffic at the TPE exit. PIE towards Tuas, vehicle breakdown after Clementi Avenue 6. TPE towards SLE, heavy at Tampines Avenue 7. CTE towards AYE, congestion after Ang Mo Kio Avenue 5. And earlier, we reports of an accident. This is on Sembawang Road towards Yishun Avenue 1. Avoid the right lane and please drive safe.
Welcome back to The Big Show and The Big Show TV. Our guest for this morning and every Thursday morning is the CEO and founder at Career Agility International, Adrian Choo.
Hey, good morning.
And today we're talking about the secret of your success. Kind of reminds me of that Michael J. Fox movie, The Secret of My Success.
Yes.
Because when I think of that movie, I think of Helen Slater as well. Remember her? Supergirl.
Yeah.
So pretty.
Yes.
Okay, anyway.
So,
Adrian?
so I was going to ask him now. Now it's your turn. Who was the most famous or memorable person you've interviewed?
I think he is way more famous now than he was back then. I mean, he was already pretty big. Now he is, 100 times bigger. He's considered the most popular, the most famous action movie star in the world today.
Let me
Tom
guess.
Cruise.
Sylvester Stallone.
Today. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
Oh, okay.
wow.
Yeah.
I've interviewed him as well.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
How's he like?
Very, very polite.
Okay.
Okay, very, very polite, very. I think he was groomed for this industry. Like, you know, when you talk to him and how he carries himself, how he speaks to the media, you know, he was destined to be a media personality, a celebrity. Yeah.
I never expected him to be such a huge star, though, because I felt like, you know, when I interviewed him at the Four Seasons Hotel years ago, I think it was his first visit to Singapore. He wasn't, you know, if you smell, you know, not
cooking,
yet, not yet, but he was up and coming.
Yeah, this was during Scorpion King, right?
Yes.
He was down to promote that film.
I think it was his first film, right?
Yes, his
That was
first
his
big film.
first big
yeah.
film.
Yeah. And I didn't think he would stay the course, quite frankly.
Yeah. But
You
look
know?
at him now. Today, he is the highest paid movie star in the world. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, endorses Under Armour and all
Yeah,
that. He's
yeah.
just created a whole brand for himself, you know?
But I mean, that's the most famous person I've interviewed, I suppose. If you ask me who was the most meaningful, memorable
one?
actually, this was just last year. I would say Richard Marx, because I had a really good interview with the guy. And Richard Marx, obviously, because we love music. I grew up with his music. I felt like, you know, it was more of a big deal for me talking to him and talking about the songs that I grew up with that I still listen to this day. So that was what made that interview more magical for me. Yeah.
Wow.
For those of you who are just tuning in, I mean, we spoke about this off air. I mentioned whom? I mentioned David Beckham
Yes,
for me.
yeah.
David
And Spice
Beckham,
Girls.
The Spice Girls. I should also mention Mick Hucknall. You know Mick Hucknall from
Simply Red, yeah.
Mick Hucknall. Ricky Martin.
Oh,
wow.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Did you guys shake your bonbons together?
I think we did.
Oh, okay.
Yes. And the Chemical Brothers.
Yeah. Which was the most special one, though? I mean, the one that you felt, oh, this interview.
Pink was quite special.
Yeah.
You know, because she was, you know, she's always herself, right?
I heard she's very down to earth.
very,
right? She's-
very down. Pink was okay.
Any soccer legend, football legend?
Oh yeah, Pele.
Oh, wow. That's
And
a legend.
Eric Cantona as well, when they came down for courts years ago.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You should write a book then.
I say that every day. Please write a book.
Yeah,
Glenn.
the people I've met.
Let me think of a few more, and then I can impress you guys even more. Okay, let's continue this conversation on the Big Show TV. Damiano David is next. Zombie Lady on Kiss 92.
This is brand new. Here's
So I have a silly question.
Anton Deck.
Anton,
Anton,
PJ
really?
and Duncan. Okay.
Wow. I have a silly question to ask. Do you guys prefer to be called radio hosts or DJs? Because you don't really DJ when
Radio
you're on the
DJs.
air. Radio DJs, but there's no disc to jockey anymore. There's no.
Yeah, but I think, you know,
Yeah, I mean,
it's a term that's been used, right?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I am actually I'm more uncomfortable with the term radio personality than I am with radio DJ. Because radio DJs, that's the term we grew up with. I mean, when we discovered radio, when we fell in love with the industry, when we, you know, back when we thought, oh, this is what I want to do.
And I've had to play vinyls
Yeah.
on the
Oh,
radio
yeah,
show
yeah,
before.
yeah,
So
And I used to play CDs, so to some degree, yes. Okay, there's way less discs involved now, and there's no like a wiki spin, right? But yeah, to me, that's the name of the occupation that I fell in love with.
But if you say radio presenter, that would be our colleagues from Money FM reading the news.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But
Radio
it's not
presenter.
The music, it's not the music piece. So yeah, that makes sense. Okay, the next thing I want to ask is this: what's the biggest misconception people have about DJs, radio DJs?
What's the biggest misconception?
Yeah, that you guys party all the time, or it's like
That maybe I feel that we never feel butterflies in our stomachs when we go on stage, you know, in front of let's say, you know, 1,000 people. Because I think the people who engage us feel, since we're talking to hundreds of thousands of people, what's 1,000 people, in a convention hall, let's say, you know what I mean? But no, as I mentioned earlier on, right, at least for me, right, I'm talking to one person most of the time. So when I go out there and I see a sea of people, I still get butterflies in my stomach. But then it also gives me, you know, that energy to go
The
on,
adrenaline,
to feed
yeah.
off their energy. So if everybody is just like, you know, quiet, it makes it a bit tougher, but the show must go on.
Absolutely.
how about you? What's the biggest misconception?
Okay, that radio DJs only work 4 hours a day. That is my biggest bugbear. To be fair, I have known some skivers in the industry who really only work 4 hours a day, right, when they're on show. But for the vast majority, especially those of us who take our jobs very seriously and you want to sound good and you want to bring proper content, to your show to relate to your audience, you are going to be putting in a fair amount of work, whether it's, scouring for information, whether it's production work outside, whether it's gathering your interviews, whether it's just working together as a team to come up with ideas of how you can put your show better tomorrow.
So there's a lot of prep work that goes in the back. Huh?
Yeah, easily, at least when I do a solo show, just as the same amount of hours, say my show is 3 hours, I would put at least 3 hours outside of work preparing for the show, at least.
So it's not like just turn up and talk and bump off. It's not as easy as that.
No. A lot of people think that, and kudos to us because maybe we make it sound so effortless and seamless. So. But no, there is a lot of work that goes into it.
It's the same thing that people think, teacher's job's so easy. You just turn up at 7:30 and you go off at 1, but there's so much going on in the background. School holidays and everything else, right?
Yes.
So, wow. But did you learn it the hard way that there was lots of hard work? Or did you realize it was that much hard work when you came into the industry?
I knew it wasn't just going to be all like, glitz, glamour and fun and like, being very free all the time and partying. But obviously, we talk seasons, right? Yeah. Depending on where you are in your career, the kind of show that you're on as well. Obviously, if you are on a higher profile show, more elements, more things that you bring to your show, it is going to come with more responsibilities and more work as well.
Wow, okay, that's cool. Now, I've got a question for Glenn now, actually. When you're doing a solo show versus 2 or 3 people, which is tougher?
Of course, it's always tougher working in a group. You have to have the right attitude working in a group because you can never do things your way. The moment you want to do things your way, that's when the whole, team crumbles. There's a lot of give and take.
Okay.
But when you do it as a solo jock, you can do anything you want. You execute it the way you like. And so I think definitely working in a group, working in a team is a lot harder. I started out as a solo DJ.
Yeah.
I never thought, I could work with people, but I challenged myself. And then started working with FD and, that worked out. But you see, FD has also got the right attitude. You need to have the right attitude in order to be a team player. And then I pushed myself a little bit more by getting the team to be even bigger, and I love it. I love a big family.
Was FD your first?
My first.
Your first?
My first.
I want to follow up on that question,
partner.
right? But I mean, how many? Because I've known you long enough to know that you have had other radio partners, but how many wrong ones before you found the right one?
That's the thing, I'm so good at choosing radio partners, but not live partners.
Okay.
I'm serious. I'm not kidding.
So how?
So I've had like 2 on-air partners whom I love.
Yeah.
I love Rod, and of course I love FD. But somehow I just, at that time just felt like the 3 of us, the 2 of them, I could only pick one, but I would have loved like that trio.
Yeah, but
that
even
trio would be fun.
prior to that, you hadn't had other radio partners? You weren't teamed up with other people?
No.
You were very much solo, right? The first
Before
part?
that, yeah. I mean, when I was on my first radio station, I was
I was gonna say he
solo.
was so talented. He made up his own partners.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, you've got.
I'm lonely. Let's create characters.
I was. The characters were created because I was lonely at night.
Simone,
Yeah, I'm serious.
Simone, and
Short fat.
Short fat, and yes,
Got Bar and the Honky Tonk Man.
those are the days.
Yeah. My friends who are still close to me, I keep them in my pocket.
He hears their voices, all day in his head.
Okay, going back on air.
Nice.
Stand by.
Kiss 92 Traffic.
Number of accidents, AYE to its Tuas. You got one after Jurong Port Road. Please avoid lane 3. SLE towards BKE, another accident before the BKE exit. Sembawang Road towards Yishun Avenue, 1 accident, avoid the right lane. Heavy traffic in the SLE in both directions towards CTE between the BKE entrance and Mandai Avenue, and towards the BKE between Mandai and the BKE exit. And finally, PIE towards Changi Airport, heavy traffic at the TPE exit.
Welcome back to The Big Show and The Big Show TV. Adrian Choo is our guest for today, and we've been talking about the secret of my success. This applies to each and every one of you who's tuned in right now. So we've got to wrap up real quick. But for the people who are tuned in right now who feel like they have achieved everything, they are successful.
Yes.
What advice do you have for them? I mean,
I would say, you define your own success. Don't care what other people think or what you think other people are measuring you by. It's not about the big car, the big house, the big paycheck, big job title. If you measure success, for instance, like, I've got work-life balance. I'm happy with the work I'm doing. It's not paying that fantastically well, but, I get home at 5 p.m. every day to spend time with the kids.
Yeah.
That's success.
According to Kenneth, who texted in as well, he's got his own definition as well. Kenneth says success is all about finding the balance and harmony at each stage.
Yeah, that's why. I mean, I believe that as well. That whole balance is so important.
For me, success is being able to sleep at night without being too bothered by work, by everything else. To me, sleep is very important. Good quantity, good quality sleep. And if you're bothered, and if you're not in balance, you're not in harmony, it turns up in your sleep. That's why, if you're balanced and very well in harmony with everything else, your work, your life, I think you just go to bed, sleep, you don't have to wake up.
Bro,
I sleep like a baby.
I'm very unbalanced this week, no?
Oh, yeah.
I cannot sleep because I'm scared I will wake up late for this show.
He's like that Dochi song, Anxiety. He's just afraid. But then again, I appreciate him for that, not being complacent and, just making sure he turns up, If not, I'll be all alone.
Yeah, we can't have that.
I'll be actually not. Thank
No lah,
goodness
they've got the ladies, right?
No.
Yeah.
Please don't be late or oversleep or whatever.
Okay, I can't promise about next week, lah. This week, I promise I will be here early and on time.
So far, so good.
So far,
so
so good. Yeah.
So far, so good. So, don't be bothered by other people's success as well, because you do not know what they had to give up to achieve it. And, it may not be worth it. So, be happy with yourself. Consider yourself successful if you've achieved what you wanted to achieve. And just pay attention to the season you're in.
Okay, all right. Great advice, as always. Thank you very much, Adrian, for joining us today. We'll see you next week. All right, if you want to get in touch with Adrian, once again, as I mentioned, email him at info@careeragility.org. Thank you so much, Adrian. Thank you.